Hello and welcome to this Mind Mapping for Professional Development Biggerplate Connect event. Great to see you today. It's the end of the year, 15th of December, so we thought it was a great time to take stock of our development and what we might plan and how we might go forward. So that's the focus of our day. My name is Graham Hughes from Biggerplate. I'm going to be your host for today. We've got 3 sessions planned. First up will be Subra, who's already with me in the studio. I will put her on screen in just a moment. Then we'll be followed by Sheng, who is in San Francisco. So we're going from India to San Francisco. And then Juan Carlos, who's down in Mexico. So we've got a very international presentation team today. So I'm delighted to be hosting all of them. So just before we start, I'd like to draw your attention to the chat function in the Hopin platform we're on. If you want to put questions or comments to Subra and me or other speakers and me, please do that in the chat box on the stage. You'll see I've just done a screenshot there showing you the stage is on the left-hand side of your screen, and then you'll have the stage tab showing, as you can see on my little snapshot. And then you'll see I've put a little red circle around the chat box to use. Don't use the Q&A because, again, I can't see that and Subra can't see that when we're on stage. If you put your questions and comments in there, I'll pull them together and put them to Subra once she's finished presenting. So today, the first session is Mastering Life, a big one for Subra. I'm going to bring her on screen now and introduce her. Here we are. We're both on screen on video now, Subra, and I'm going to put Subra's screen up. So now we can see your screen with your mind map, Subra. And I'm going to mute myself and get off the stage and hand over to you. And then I'll put your full screen on once you've said hello. So over to you.
So first of all, thank you so much, Graham, for giving this opportunity. Once again, if I remember correctly, this is the third time we are together presenting a session on mind mapping for Biggerplate. And it's always a good feeling to come back here at Biggerplate and present a session like this with amazing fellow speakers. And more than anything, every time I come for this event to present one thought that comes to my mind is the tagline of Biggerplate: going further with mind mapping. So it really does. That is what exactly mind map does to us. It takes us further in life. It makes our life so amazing, would be a very simple word. I would say it transforms our life in ways we might not have thought about. And hence, when this topic came about, what would be the topic about, or what topic exactly are we going to talk today? I just thought about this term, navigating life. And then after a discussion, I remember we fixed on mind mapping for mastering life, because that's exactly what mind mapping has done to me for the past 12 years. It has not left any area of my life untouched. Every area of my life today is being touched by mind mapping. And as I say, it has become a way of my life, not just a tool or something, a framework, or those are just small words for me now, because it has done something much beyond that for me. It has taken me further in life. So, and hence my immense love for the tagline of Biggerplate. So yes, to start with, we have this, as you can see on the screen. Today, we are going to talk about mind mapping for mastering life. And to master life, I have this 4 focus areas. And as we know, we are approaching the new year. And before we start a fresh year, we always want, or we always look for some planning. We think about some resolution, goal setting, vision mapping, and a lot of things. Those are like buzz words in the air, and everybody wants to talk about it. So I thought, why not talk about those 4 important aspects of life? And that is what the theme of the talk today is: mastering life using mind mapping in specific 4 areas, that is clarity, organization, creativity, and productivity. As you can see on the screen in the middle image, that is COCP. So let me start, and if you can see that we will be talking about four major areas: humble beginnings, challenges, magic formula, and why it is a must have skill. So let me start with how it all began and a little bit about some background story and all of that. Yeah. So my journey, and this is so special to me because I just cannot believe if somebody would have, I wouldn't have believed if somebody would have told me some, even 4 to 5 years back, this is what I would be doing in 2022, talking about mind mapping to people, sharing my mind mapping knowledge at a platform like this, or coaching people in mind mapping. I wouldn't have believed any of those because I was just using it for myself, for note taking, for my research, and all of that. But then things did take a turn, and yes, here I am today. So, when I say my journey, it has three parts to this journey of how all this happened. And as you can see this picture, a curious learner. So I used to be this curious learner who would be always with too many questions, and everyone I meet, I remember coming from a very I would say a struggling background, and facing a lot of challenges. So I had a lot of questions in my mind for almost everyone I met. At least if I would meet someone for 3 to 4 times and I feel comfortable, I would go and shoot this question to them. So I would ask this question as in my childhood. I would ask this question whether it were friends, family, teacher, and basically just everyone. What do you want in life? I would ask them this question because I was so amazed by how some people would be so happy, so creative, so productive all the time, and they would be beaming with energy. And on the other hand, there were some people who would be just so angry all the time. So as a child, I would want to know what exactly was different in their life, and I would just ask this question: what do you want in life? And no matter to whomever I asked these questions and whatever kind of answers they gave over the years, right from my childhood days to my college days, those answers had something in common. If I decode those answers today, I would see the common line would be basically they wanted to be happy, whether it was a teacher, a student, a friend, my mom, or my siblings, whoever it is, whatever they did in life, the answer would be that they wanted to be happy. And hence, if I look at my life, part one, as a curious learner, I would say I became very desperate to decode what it needs to make a person happy and what you need to do, and all of that. As a child, I did not even understand the meaning of happiness, perhaps, but I wanted to know what was it? What is that makes a person happy? And hence, my quest as a child started. And though it all sounds like a fairy tale, but coming from a struggling background, this was something I definitely wanted. How do we become happy? And yes, part two of the story. Now, while all this was going in the background, and I remember it was some 10 to 12 years back, I was always amazed by how, people would take visual notes. I would never write straight with, I mean, except for in exams where it is mandatory. But otherwise, in my notebooks or whiteboard or anywhere, if I had to take notes, it would be full of a lot of colors and some diagrams, some kind of charts, and I would just highlight the key points. So I had that what do you call that affinition, but somehow I didn't know it. I was mind mapping, or I was using any of the principles of mind mapping. I just did it because I liked. But then some 12 years back, I came across uh, a person, Mr. Manish Dutt, who actually came to our university where I was working to deliver a workshop in mind mapping. It was a 2 days workshop, or yeah, it was a 1 day workshop rather. And he spoke about mind mapping to us. And somehow that caught my attention. I said, okay, this is what I have been doing for so long. And hence, if you see this episode of my life, I call it serendipity, because through a sequence of events, it was around the same time when I was wanting to do a lot of research work along with my university job. So I needed a tool for taking notes. I needed a tool for research. I needed a tool for writing academic papers. And it was the same time around which Mr. Manish that came to the university. And it was the same time when I started using mind mapping for teaching students as well, for my lesson planning and a lot of that. So I saw that things were kind of falling into place. And so I call it serendipity, because I just would like to say that this is how I met my niche, or my passion, mind mapping, by accident. And then I say that that convergence, everything happened around the time during pandemic, when I took it so seriously, especially around 2019, after my doctorate was done. I saw that how much of time this mind mapping had saved for me, how much of time it saves for my students. And when I started looking at it from a different point of view, that yes, why not I start sharing this knowledge with people, not just using it for myself. And that convergence happened actually around that time, around 2019 or 2020, when I started taking sessions for people, and individuals and organizations, especially for colleges and my colleagues also. They wanted to learn, they started showing interest. And yes, I just landed up becoming a mind mapping coach. And yes, I say this one decision to try out mind mapping some 12 years back transformed my life in ways I cannot even express in words. So this is a little bit about my journey. And I call myself a proud mind mapper today, and I would want to show you what are the things that I have done using mind mapping, or what are the areas, I wouldn't say things, but what are the areas of my life where I have used. And again, there are many more areas, but these are some of the very common areas where I have used mind mapping, and that has saved me a lot of time, energy, and not only time and energy, but it has also given me real breakthroughs. So PhD, from writing research paper to writing my thesis, which is over 1 lakh words, presentations, final defense, or many other presentations as well, then survey, literature review, I think just everywhere during my PhD. And even before that also, for my research, academic research, I have used mind mapping. And professional, I worked for some almost close to 11 years in a university where I taught engineering graduate and postgraduates. So professionally, for my teaching and training materials, for presentation, even evaluation, curriculum design, brainstorming, project supervision, everything, I have used mind mapping. For mentoring my students, for career counseling, for soft skills, I have used mind mapping. For meetings, for planning and organizing, or whether it was preparing the agenda of the meeting, it was just used everywhere. And organizing events, of course, as an academician, we were required to organize conferences and symposiums and some seminars of this nature also sometimes. So we would definitely plan out the entire thing using mind mapping. I had also been into editorial boards of some magazines and journals. Of course, I had used mind mapping there too. And I would just say I have used it everywhere. That is the word, I have used it everywhere. Coming to time management, starting from preparing weekly blueprints to daily tasks scheduling, or blocking time for important work or some presentation. So yeah, it's a great tool for time management. And health and well-being, I remember the first session I took for Biggerplate, maybe last year or even before that, I don't remember, but the first session, maybe I think in 2020. Yeah, in 2020. So that was on mindfulness using mind mapping. So that is one area where I use mind mapping a lot, about being mindful and knowing yourself better, self knowledge. And I also do some of my daily rituals using mind mapping, like affirmations, self reflection, journaling, etc. Forgiveness is something I do when I feel that specifically I don't find it difficult to forgive others, but there are times when I get very self critical and I go into this mode where I actually start thinking I mean the narratives that goes in my head are not good for myself. So I tend to write down things on a mind map, forgiving myself or forgiving the situation. And sometimes even with others, if I feel that, okay, I have been hurt or something, I would use a mind map to forgive the other person, and it's very therapeutic, I would say. So health and well-being, definitely I'm using mind mapping. Family, I think from organizing events to trips. I remember mentioning this earlier too, that I have actually planned my sister's wedding using mind mapping in the year 2019, and it was a foolproof mind map. There were no issues at all, no cases of anybody forgetting anything. Work were delegated. Everything went very well with that kind of mind mapping. So yes, for family, you can see exercise, gratitude, decision making, collaborative decision making. So all of that. And yes, this is again an area where I love to use mind map, that is reading and writing. So of course, note taking, writing articles, summaries, or making book summaries. So I do all of that using mind mapping. So this was a kind of a journey of what I do using mind mapping. And yeah, so yes, this is about my journey, how it all fell in place, how I am here today. Going to talk about how we can master life, or how I did master different areas of my life using mind mapping, and the journey. The need. I remember a lot of people say this, and not just a lot of people. I have heard this right from my childhood. If I would ask my teacher that, how do I become powerful? My teacher would say, knowledge is power. And yeah, it's true. It's not that it's untrue. Knowledge is power. But today, after all this experience of teaching students for so long, of more than a decade, and even from my own experience of life, from having met with so many individuals across globe, I can say now, I feel that knowledge is power, but knowing how to leverage that knowledge is your superpower. And I believe that mind mapping can help you leverage that power. So mind mapping is the bridge, I would say, that that gap between having knowledge and leveraging that for our upliftment and the upliftment of the society. Yes, mind mapping does it so well. So this were my humble beginnings, and I would want to go or take you through some of the challenges that we all face in life. And these challenges I would discuss from the point of view of both an organization or an individual. So even if I think about organization, I'm not going to details of what are the challenges an organization would face, because there's so much of automation today. But critical thinking, creativity, and engagement, I thought these three things are something everybody is facing. These three challenges are something everybody faces. Critical thinking, whatever bots you employ, but you need human beings who can do critical thinking. You need human beings who can be creative, think innovatively, or think, I won't say outside the box, but I would say think without the box. And engagement, no matter whatever industry it is, whether it's in terms of customers or clients or whatever level it is, engagement is important. So these are the three challenges that we can think from the point of view of an organization. And my interest today is more towards individual challenges, which is, I have just mentioned very few of them. Time. And while I can write down some 15-20 challenges, but I try to focus on some of the common ones that we all face. One is time. How to allot time allocation, whether it is in terms of personal development, or we want to read, we want to adapt to some new tools or some latest innovations, or we just want to upskill so that we don't become obsolete. So whatever it is, wherever we want to allocate time, we have this challenge always. We want to do a lot of things in minimum amount of time, and we also want maximum return on investment. So if we are investing our time in something, we want that should not go wasted. So that is number one challenge. The next challenge is, I, I call this the CMR approach. Uh, Even if we are taking that we work some 12 hours a day, or 10 hours a day, or 8 hours a day, whatever it is, the number of hours per day or per week, we can broadly divide it into three categories: CMR, create, maintenance or maintain, and reflect. So For example, I am a mind mapping coach and I do spend a lot of time reading material because I have to create curriculum. I create templates for my clients. So I have those creating work. At the same time, there are also some maintenance work that I need to do, some emails, some repetitive work, some redundant work. And at the end of the day, I also want that there should be a kind of feedback system, there should be a kind of reflection. So whether it is in terms of me as a mind mapping coach or in terms of me as just a human being, how, what problem am I solving in this world? What is my contribution? And I have I need time to reflect upon this. So whatever activities we do, we can divide it into three categories: create, maintenance, and reflect. And what I found was, 50 to 60, we can call ourselves, and this again, this percentage that is being calculated here is not just based on my own experience, but it is based on conversations with a lot of my clients, conversation with a lot of people out there who say that, okay, what is the moment they feel that they have a balanced life? It is when they say they spend maximum time in creating, that is 50 to 60% of their time goes in creating something of value, and maybe the remaining time goes to maintenance and reflection. And at the same time, they also understand that reflection is a very important part, and if reflection is very less, even then they see that that have an effect on creation. So this is again a challenge to maintain this balance, the CMR. And let me show you an image here. Okay, so this is just an example of what I do, and these things we would be using a mind map to map out all this questions, if you can see. And this is generally we do in the review step of CMR. In the review step, we ask these questions and we say, okay, what are the three things that you have done in the past week that is aligned to your goal, and we mind map that. Then we look at our habit tracker and identify at least 3 habits that I'll be tracking this month, some small tasks that can be delegated, micro goals, or, and all those questions I'll ask myself, or the anyone who is doing the reflection using mind map, they would ask themselves. And the main idea is to find out that what worked well in the previous week, what needs to be improved, and what is the win, or what can I celebrate myself for. So we do all of this in the third step, that is in the reflection step. So even that is important, and hence the balance, we need to strike that balance, and that is a big challenge. So that was in terms of time, and I think I need not explain about pressure and this, that was about just balancing the time. But there is also a thing like where we want to balance between a professional and personal life. So yes, as individual, we have so much of pressure balancing all of that. So these are some of the very common challenges. I have not gone deep into some very intricate challenges, but these are some of the common challenges that we all face. So then a question is, as you can see, the central image, that navigating life, the mind mapping way, and the topic for the day is mind mapping for mastering life. So how do we face all those challenges, and what exactly do we do? And I call this a magic formula because it has worked like magic for me and a lot of people with whom I have shared this COCP, or the magic formula. And I call this as COCP, where you see that at the base is clarity. And these are the 4 focus areas that we have chosen: clarity, organization, creativity, and productivity. And the order is also as such that unless we have clarity about what is that we want in life, what is that exactly I'm doing, or why am I doing something, or whatever it is, it could be a small decision, it could be understanding self, or whatever it is, unless I have the clarity, there is no point going for organizing or creativity and forget about productivity then. So hence clarity is at the base. The next focus area of life, or I would say that if we want to master life, this next focus area is organizing. We understand that in this age, at this age today, there is no lack of information anywhere. Information is just there everywhere. So there is gone are those days when we could act smart by saying that, okay, I know this, I know that. So it's not just about knowing. It's, as I said, it's also about how do we put to use that thing? So if our mind is like that library where we have a lot of books, we also need to know that those books will be useful only if those books are all arranged and kept properly, and if those books can be produced in an instant to anyone who is asking for. So just like a library, our brain also needs to be organized, and whether it is about thoughts or notes, I say from notes to thoughts, everything needs to be organized in a manner that there is no clutter, organized in a manner that based on whatever life situation demands, we are able to produce that information or data, or able to take life decisions, because we know our brain is super organized. So here's organization. Creativity, I think more than ever, now is the age where we need to be creative. It could be as simple, I could be a chef, I could be a fashion designer, I could be an engineer, I could be a doctor, or I could be a coach, a trainer, anyone. I could be working in a company as a sales executive. Whoever I am and whatever I'm doing in life, I cannot just be non-creative. I have to be creative. And I so believe that mind mapping can help anybody, I mean anybody, unlock their creative potential. All they need is to start using it in different areas of your life, and before they even realize, they would understand that okay, their creative juices are flowing. So yes, creativity is the next thing. And I always say that once you have complete clarity, once you have organized, and once are, you have started unlocking your creative potential, the P on top, that is productivity, or hitting the goal, is just a matter of time. And it's like a byproduct. So that is the COCP, which I call as a magic formula for mastering life. And let's have a look one by one. So, clarity. So, to start with, I'll be sharing some examples with you how we have used clarity or organization or creativity and productivity in different areas of life. And I'll be showing you some example templates. So, let me start with this. Okay, so here if you see, this is a very simple mind map that we do very frequently whenever we want to start a new habit, or whenever we want to start something new. For example, I want to learn a new skill, or maybe I want to attend a session. Anything it is that is going to take a significant amount of my time investment, energy investment, I prefer that we do this kind of mind map where we call the 4 Ws. And what we do is we just mind map, why is it, what are the 3 reasons, or why do I need to do this, or why is that I'm attending this session, why is that I want to read this book, why is that I want to do this course, why is that I want to learn a new language. So whatever it is, we map out the why first. And this template is kind of a blank template. We try to find out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reasons why we want to do that. And then the best part is, if you do the same thing from top to bottom or left to right, like a conventional linear thinking, it's like you are restricting your brain to flow after a certain amount of time. For example, you have written why and then 3 points, and then you don't go back to that why anymore. You go back to when and again jot down 3 or 4 points. And sometimes you just forget because the big picture is not in front of you. It's more like flipping through the pages, or just losing connect. So all of that happens in a linear way of thinking. And my idea is that anyone who would be watching it live or recording of this session, they are already people who know the importance of mind mapping, and hence I'm not touching upon the importance of mind mapping. But yes, one point that I want to share is, the moment you do it in the form as shown in the screen, in the form of a radiant diagram, it's like telling your brain to think divergently and not convergently. So the moment you allow your brain to think in all directions divergently, it will give you not just 3, 4, 5 reasons why you need that. And then you become clear, okay, this is my why. And then what we do is we move to when, and we write down those time, duration, frequency. For example, this is the time I'm going to read this, or this is the time I'm going to start learning driving, or something like that. What is the duration? and how frequently, maybe twice a week, thrice a week. So we write down all of those. The moment we write down, it's more like, giving a signal to your brain that yes, now that it is written, it's going to happen. Next is where, because unless we decide where are we going to do that, it could be in a park space, I mean, based on whatever you are mapping out. So you got to decide the place. It could be, okay, in my study table, I mean, on my study table, even that is fine. But yes, the where is important. What, this is the final one, where we try to map out what exactly I'm going to do to learn the skill. For example, the why is clear, the when is clear, the where is sorted. The next and the last one is some of the commitments, like if I'm going to, collaborate with a friend and do this, or am I going to join some club? How will I implement this? So some sort of uh, actions that need to be taken in order to implement this once all the other W's are clear. So this is a very simple way of getting clarity about uh, we call it clarity mapping, how to start doing mind mapping. Just even if you are not a mind mapper, you haven't done mind mapping before, but just by using this, you would see that your brain gives you so much of information, and you will feel that it, a lot of things have got cleared. So moving on, for example, this mind clarity mapping, let me show you here again an image. So this is recently we have, because we are approaching 2023. So recently, I have been doing this mind mapping with a lot of my mentees and my clients, that okay, let's do a clarity mapping of 2023, where we are not fixing any design or fixing any plans like this is what we are going to do, but it's more like allowing your brain to flow with ideas, and trying to find out what are the focus areas of my life, or what are the 4 things that I'm going to focus in 2023, or 3 things, and what is my vision for 2023, on financial front, on health, or on personal front, professional front. So all of that vision, maybe just one statement, but that's it. Habits, am I going to form any new habits? Am I going to uh, leave, or am I going to stop something, a habit that has been there for long, and now I know it's not good for me? So am I going to leave that, stop doing that? So any kind of questions, or we ask ourselves a lot of questions, and we try to get it clear by mapping it out on a piece of paper, or even on software like this. And finally, we go to like, what actions am I going to take? So now we have been doing this for almost last 2 weeks with a lot of clients, and I would like to show you one of the mind maps. Okay, so this, I have just removed the name of the person. So if you see that last week, in 15 to 20 minutes, we have mapped a complete map of 2023, vision 2023. And we started with a blank map. We didn't have anything else. We just started with a complete blank map, and then we set for some 15 to 20 minutes, and in 15 to 20 minutes we actually got this. So the entire vision was planned, and now of course he will be refining this. So yeah, let me close this. So he will be refining this further. So that much of clarity it gives the moment you start mind mapping. And okay, this is, let me share this another one on clarity. So yeah, this is again knowing self. This is a mind map. I love this mind map, and I do it myself as well a lot of times, at least sometimes once in 3 months, sometimes once in 6 months, and if I have time, I would go for once in a month. But generally, the frequency that I, under any circumstances, I maintain is once in 3 months. So I ask myself what I love, and this is again based on what I read in the book Ikigai. So what I love, and then I would write certain things. For example, in my case, it would be mind mapping is of course my first love, and so I would write that. And what do I love to do? I love reading books, I love writing, and I would write all of those things here. And then I go to the next, and I try to find out, or I ask my clients, and if you can see the image at the center, this is, like, you're trying to know yourself, or you're trying to know the person on the mirror. If you see, handshake, hugging the person, giving a high five to the person on the mirror. So in our life, sometimes we just forget to know ourselves. We forget to ask ourselves what is that we love, what is that we are good at, and we get so busy in life. So this mind map is a kind of helping yourself or knowing yourself better. And yes, so the second branch, if you can see, we ask like, what are you good at? And sometimes people write, okay, I love music, but I'm very bad at music, so I'm definitely not going to write good at music. I'll write something else. So this good at is something that you're proficient in. Love is more like something that you enjoy doing, and you would do even without expecting any outcome, or without you waiting for the results, you would still do it. But passion cannot go alone. With passion you also need proficiency. So that is where good at branch comes, and we ask people to map out at least three things that you're good at. And once we do that, we move to the next branch, that is consult. And in this consult branch, we ask people that uh, think about a time in your life. It could be in school, it could be in college, it could be at your workplace. Reasons why people came to you for consultation. And it's funny that a lot of times people, they find a common link here. For example, they might have written that, okay, I love talking to people, I love traveling, or I love having conversations with people. And then they say, okay, I'm good at teaching, or I'm good at training, or something like that. And then they say, okay, when I was in school or college, a lot of people used to come to me, to solve issues, to resolve their issues, or they would ask me to write down their applications, or they would come with relationship issues, and I would resolve all of them. So I have heard some of the funny answers, crazy answers in this consult branch. And often, if not always, but often, this has a link. This consult branch, the moment they start mind mapping, they see some relevance, some link building up between the first two branch and the third branch. And once we have mapped out that what were the things for which people came to me for consultation, at least three or four of them, I go to the next one, that is contribute. Now I know that what I love, what I'm good at, what I can, why people came to me for consultation. What are the things through which, out of this, is there anything common, something that I'm also passionate about, I'm proficient, people also have noticed that I'm proficient at that, and now is there something out of this that I can refine and contribute to the world? So I ask people to think about it, and what contribution they can make to the world, to themselves, to the family, to the people around them, to the community, through the skills that they have, once they get clarity about it. And then finally we move to the challenges branch, where we ask people that, now that you know all of this about yourself, what are the obstacles that are coming on your way right now? Find out those challenges, and then we go to step two of clarity. This is what I'm showing you right now is step one. We take people to step two of clarity mapping, where they talk about just the challenges and how they can mitigate those challenges. So this is again a very small example of self mapping for clarity. Similarly, we can do decision mapping. I would like to share this today, that when I left my permanent job, full-time job in the university in 2020, so I made the mind map in 2019 itself. On December, yeah, it was around 1st to 2nd of December, first week or second week of December. Around that time, I started mind mapping why I wanted to leave the job, why I wanted to pursue mind mapping as a career, or what was that I was looking at, and all of those decisions. What would happen if I failed at what I was assuming that I would, I would do well, or something like that. And I also wanted to write books at that point of time. So uh, would it be whatever time I would get, would it be helpful to me? So all of the decision, the pros and cons and everything, I remember I always started mind mapping, and that mind mapping took some 1 month to be completed, because every evening I would look at it for at least 5 to 10 minutes to gain some clarity about if the decision that I was going to take, was it okay, or at least what did my instinct say, not the world, not anyone else, but am I clear that, okay, this decision that I'm going to take is what I exactly want in life? So of course that we did. And next, is distraction mapping. This is again very interesting because a lot of people say that this is something very interesting they find. They map out all their distractions and then they themselves try to find out that how they can mitigate those, or what are the steps they need to take, what actions they need to take. So this is again wonderful. Bounce back is again another mind map that I have recently shared on LinkedIn as well, about how counselors, or how I as a counselor, how students they themselves use this mind map. It's more like a root cause analysis. So if you see, it's like whenever facing a challenge in life, we try to mind map the awareness level about what kind of behavior am I exhibiting, and what kind of feeling, whether it's confused or uncertainty, or do I feel betrayed, do I have the urge to prove. So it's a kind of a lot of questions that we ask ourselves just to be aware that why, what is that situation, or what is that crisis all about, and why am I behaving this way, or even if I'm anxious, why am I anxious. And once I'm aware, then we go to step 2, that is we journal about the feelings, either in a mind map or in any form that somebody wants. And of course, then we go for some affirmations and we write down those affirmations. Okay, morning, what will be my affirmations in different branches, evening and before bed, and all of those affirmations we write. Then again, after writing the affirmation, we again go back to the awareness check and check, did I get a little better after doing all those affirmations. And also there is a chances that we might be feeling very low and all of that. So these are the times when we need to tell ourselves about our accomplishments in school, college, job, community. So we ask the people, okay, think about your accomplishments, and they start mind mapping all the accomplishments in this branch. Once this is done again, so it's like this mind map, we go from step 1 awareness, to step 2 journaling, to step 3 affirmations, to step 4 accomplishment, again go back to awareness and check. So it's kind of a cyclic. And we also include some self-care, like, okay, would you want to meditate, or would you want to read something to relax, or would you want to play, what are your hobbies. So it's more like a bounce back mind map that we call. And this is again, it will give you immense clarity, because this kind of mind maps, it's kind of therapeutic. Yeah. So this was a little bit about clarity, and let me move to organize. Okay. So as I say, from notes to thoughts, I have organized everything using mind map, and I've been helping people now, at least it's more than 2 years. I've been helping people do the same, and I'll be just showing you an example of how beautifully you can mind map or organize whatever you have read in a book. For example, this book I read in the year 2020, and this mind map also was made then, in that year. Of course, maybe the colors and designs have changed a little bit, but the takeaways, whatever you see here, were all at that point of time. It was taken in the form of a mind map as a mega summary. And even today, if you ask me to give just a 2 hour or 3 hour session only on the book Ikigai, I would be able to do that. Not because I'm extraordinary, but because mind map is extraordinary. And using mind map, I have made this summary. So if you see here, I have taken the meaning of the book. So the moment I share this, people also, anyone who have not read the book also would know, okay, this book, Ikigai, does it mean sense of satisfaction, happiness, something related to purpose of life? So all of these words are here. Then I write a little bit about the book. What is the book all about? There's some notes are here. If you see, I have written a little bit about the book and the Okinawa, the island that is discussed in the book. Then I write a little bit about why this book, what are the secrets this book is going to share, written in this book, and all of that I write here. Then I write about the objective of this book from the author's point of view. And then I write about who are the authors of this book. So you see that in short, I have captured at least the first preface and introduction of the book. And then I go to 5 takeaways. I think the book has some 9 chapters. So I divided the book into 5 takeaways, and I write about the miracle diet that is explained in the first part of the book. And I also take some notes here, if you see. So it's a complete thing. if you see keep moving, that is the second part of the book where they talk about, in Japanese culture there's no word which translates to retire. And if you see that, I have also written down here about all the activities the people, I mean, mentioned in the book. And then I go to the biggest part of the book, that is where the authors discuss about the concept of flow. So I write a little bit about flow also here, that what is flow all about, and about the psychologist who uh, popularized this concept of flow. About, I write a little bit about Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, so all of that. And then if you see, I write here about the different things that why is flow needed and all of that. Then if you see, I also write about what flow sparks joy in life, and all of this concepts explained in the book, it is written here. And not only that, I go an extra step forward and I also include the TED talk by the founder of Flow, by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. I have included 2 TED talks here. And all of this I did while I was reading the book. And then I talk about the fourth part of the book, talks about power of yoga and meditation. And it also talks about resilience, the final part of the book. And again, I talk about anti-fragile term and the book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. So all of that, if you see, the idea that I'm trying to give you here is not to explain the book, but I want to show you the amount of information that has been packed into this mind map and captured almost every point of the book. And this book, I think it's 3 years now. I read this book in 2020 beginning, or maybe I think August, yeah, August of 2020. So yeah, 2+ years, and still I remember everything. And as I say, not because I have a good memory or a bad memory, but because I have mind mapped it. So yes, this is a very good example of how anyone can organize whatever you want, from notes to thoughts, using mind map. You can also use mind map for conceptualizing something. For example, this is again a concept, conceptualizing a book. Suppose you haven't written a book but you want to write a book, and it's more like just a step one where you have no idea exactly how you will go about, but just you want to jot down your ideas and try to figure out what actions are you going to take, what kind of research or survey you'll do. So all of that we map out, and I'll just show you that we map out everything. Okay, am I going to search in the internet, or will I be making a mind map of all the important videos in the topic, what kind of survey I'll be doing for the book. So okay, let me close this. What kind of survey? So I designed the survey questions and everything. So you see that there's so much of information. I'll just open up everything. Yeah. Then I also try to write a description for the topic that I want to write about. Then I talk about, okay, how will be my introduction. In my introduction, am I going to share some personal story, experiences? Then I think about what are the things I need for publicity, for some checklist I want to prepare, what are the different modules or maybe the chapters that will be present in the book, or any parts that will be present in the book. So what I'm trying to tell you is that even in step one, that is just conceptualizing, of course, after this we have step two of book mapping blueprint, step three for organizing all the idea that is there inside your mind into a mind map, so that it gives you both um, the detailed view as well as the big picture at the same time. So yes, this was again another example of what you can do or how you can organize. Coming to creativity, I think from crafting my TEDx speech to writing my 2 books to writing articles or whatever it is, mind mapping has definitely helped me be more creative, come up with creative. Sometimes I come up with creative solutions, sometimes I come up with creative writings. And not only this, I have also seen a lot of people, a lot of my mentees also say that now this, earlier they would have seen, maybe they would have got 1 or 2 ideas using linear thinking, but now that they use mind mapping, they see 10 hundreds of ideas from the same topic. So that is the power of mind maps. And about productivity, I call it is a byproduct. Productivity is just a byproduct of what we do it once we have clarity, once we have organized, and once we have used it for creating something, for creativity. For example, I remember very recently we were crafting a TEDx speech for one of my mentees, and we came up with some very crazy metaphors, we came up with some crazy stories from life, and all of that could happen because the connection, that connecting the dots between different life events, connecting dots between two completely unrelated events. So that creativity comes when we start mapping out our ideas, or mapping, conceptualizing things on, in the form of a mind map radiantly. So keeping myself well in the constraints of time and everything, this is what I can keep talking about mind maps and sharing about the COCP, or the four aspects of life that I'm talking about mastering using mind mapping. But this were a few of the things that I could share within this time limit. And I
Subra, this
always
is fantastic. Thank you. I'm jumping in because I just want to share with you some of the comments and
oh,
questions
sure,
that we've
sure,
got.
sure.
Yeah. So let me just find them because there's quite a lot of really interesting ones here. So let me find Olaf's 320. I just got to go back in the timeline and just find.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, here we go. I just want to show you this comment. Can you see that on screen, Subra?
I need to stop sharing my screen in that case.
Okay, if you do that,
Otherwise,
that's fine.
okay, okay, just a
I'll,
minute.
I'll I'll remove it. Actually, don't worry. I'll take it off the
Yeah,
screen. There we
yeah.
go. Can you see it now?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. I'll just read it to you. It says,
Okay,
"Excellent.
yeah, now I can see it, I
Can you
think.
see
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Please thank Subra for from me for such a great way to comprehensively and wisely approach mind mapping. Almost an art in itself, how she tells her story of mind mapping." So that's a lovely example I wanted to share with you. There's one from Sunil that I just want to share. So that's the 336 one. So let me show you this one. This is from Sunil, which was, I think, when you were on one of your sub maps. So really enjoying the colors and the templates. And then there was one from Sunil. Let me just pick that one up to share with you. It's just so much easier to share these direct with you. Wonderful presentation. Love the mirror and the man as knowing yourself. So that's just a couple of examples of, and there's more like that. But there's also some questions I quickly like to ask if you're okay. And I'm
Oh,
sorry
sure.
to rush, but I don't want to lose the opportunity. One of the important questions which Catherine asked, among other people, is do you give programs? And I think I said, I think you're doing a lot of online coaching.
Oh, yes, yes.
Right. And what is the best way for people to contact you
Oh,
to
I
talk
think
about them?
the most active platform I'm right now is on LinkedIn.
That's what I was
Otherwise,
going to
website,
suggest. Yeah.
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 And of course, you can DM me, or you can also contact me through my website, that is www.shubramukherjee.in. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. So people who want to follow up, because I think you've touched on so much that I feel a bit guilty about limiting you with time. So a couple of other questions that came along the way. Do you map online? Do you mind map online live with your customers or with your
Oh,
clients?
yes, 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 yes. That relationship building, the first time I meet my client, specifically the one-to-one client with whom I do mind mapping intensive program. The first session, we call it relationship building program, where we do collaborative mind mapping, and it is expected from the clients that they have, some kind of software in mind mapping. If they don't have in the first meeting, what we do is we speak, and then I kind of make a mind map about them, and it helps so much to break the ice between in the first meeting. It's absolutely lovely. So we do a lot of collaborative mind mapping, sometimes in two, and sometimes we even do in groups. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So a related question is, will Subra share some of these great templates on Biggerplate? And I just can't remember without checking, Subra. You've already shared quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, I have shared quite of them, but I think the ones that I've shown today, out of the ikigai, is already shared,
Right.
the book mapping, and maybe few new ones were there. So I'll share, sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I think just probably for people who are not aware, you'll be aware of this, I'm sure, Subra, but with the new MindMeister, there's been a problem sharing on Biggerplate, we've
Yeah.
discovered. So we're hoping that can be fixed, but
And even downloading is an issue, which some of them have notified me that okay, we are not able to download if this, of course, if the software is not installed in their
yeah,
system.
it's. I think what we've got to try and on Biggerplate, what we've got to try and do is help people understand it's a cloud-based software. So if someone wants to look at the map you've uploaded on Biggerplate, the button takes them to the MindMeister site to show them the specific map. So
Yeah,
I think if I remember rightly, you publish them on MindMeister and then they get uploaded onto Biggerplate. I
yeah,
think that's the sequence.
yeah,
So people will always be able to find your maps, I suspect, on the Meister website as well.
yeah. It is there.
Okay. So let me quickly scan down my questions here. Do you use mind maps personally to manage time and tasks, like a time management system?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, without a doubt. Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, funny enough, that relates to a comment very early on was it's amazing how many applications you have for mind mapping. I think it's clear that you practice what you preach, as they say.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Let's see. Really, another comment. Really great idea about distraction mapping. I'm hoping that I can use this to get the distractions out of my mind onto the paper. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
it does help. It does help.
Yeah. So I think we've covered most of the questions. I'll just double check. Is there anything I've missed on the screen? How many years did it take you to synthesize all this wisdom into one comprehensive array of maps? Wow, that's a big question, Olaf.
That's a good question, and I'm not sure how to define the number of years because, as I mentioned in my journey, also that somehow I was always attracted towards using highlighting keywords and colors or doing things in a radial way, but I didn't know that I was approaching mind mapping.
Right.
But then seriously, I started using it from my master's for research, and then during my job as a faculty, then my PhD, and then of course it just went on and penetrated in every area of my life. So if I still take officially, it would be some 12 years now since I started doing it seriously.
Right. Well, that, I mean, I guess that reflects in the quality of what you've managed to cover in an hour. It's staggering. Catherine, I'm just going to show this one to you because it's easier than reading it. That's from Catherine.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, so I think that is praise indeed. So thank you for that. Subra, I'm really sorry we've got to stop, which is a
Oh,
shame
yes.
because you've done a
I
fantastic
understand
job for
completely.
us. I'm
Thank
just going to
you.
put up on the screen the next session, which is with Sheng. And he'll be on in about 15 minutes and we'll move into the area of mind mapping for career potential. But right now, I just wanted to say to you, Subra, thank you once again for a wonderful presentation. And it's been a delight hosting, as always, with you. And I'm sure we'll do lots more.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a privilege and honor to be here. And I love coming back to a Biggerplate and presenting the session. And I would be also looking forward to the other, listening to other fellow speakers as well. So thank you so
Great.
much.
Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.